Okay, every single week I try to do an intro to one of these, and every single time I just fail miserably. So I'm not even going to get to do one this week. Hello, everyone. You probably know who we are. Welcome back to Echocast. Tomorrow, as we're recording this, is Minecraft Live, so we thought we might talk about some of our guesses, some of our hopes and dreams, and votes about the mob vote and everything, thoughts. Yeah, just so. Anyway, my name is Pokemaniac101, and I'm being joined this week by Lagging Days and PizzaBuff. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So.
That is us.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, Minecraft Live. That's very exciting. That's happening tomorrow. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Because I know there's been a lot of controversy about the mob votes and all that going on. Like, what do you guys think of that whole situation?
I think Mojang should really just not care much about what, like, people being like mob vote revolution and all that stuff, you know. You just it's like, it's, for me, it's honestly like very it kind of insults like their like entire work ethic, you know. Just like yeah, they've been giving us free updates for the entire time, and as soon as they want to let the community in to vote, people just are up against it every year because their favorite mob from the three just don't get in, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the idea. Like I and the first few years they did it, especially when they're saying, yeah, everything's going to be added to the game eventually. We're just trying to vote which one's going to be in first. Like, everyone was really excited about it. Like, there wasn't really any cons to it. It was, you know, let the community decide what orders things are going to be added to the game. But then they like kind of backed off on that. I feel like, I don't know, like they never really added any of the extra stuff that they said they were going to add eventually.
Well, they did add, like, you see, like, the swamp lost, right, with the frogs, and they did add it eventually, right? And
did the swamp?
Probably gonna get, yeah.
Oh yeah, the swamp lost that. That was the mountain. That was the mountain update, right? Or the mountain vote?
It wasn't a vote for the mountain, no.
No, there was a vote for the mountain.
There was a vote for the mountain. The powered snow and goats and
there
stuff.
Was
that was
one,
all
but I
part
don't
of
think it was that. It wasn't.
It was not
though.
that vote, but there's also, I think, savannas and baobabs and meerkats gonna be added
Eventually.
And like meerkats, what is it called? Ostriches and other stuff.
Termites.
And like tumbleweeds,
like
and
those are the ones that
cactus
lost.
And, yeah.
And I feel like they're gonna focus on one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay. What was the other two votes in the swamp year? There's mangrove swamp.
It was taiga and something else. I forgot. It's something that I think we might have already gotten. I'm not sure. Actually, no, I don't think we have gotten it. But
I did a video on it. I did that year. I did videos on all the three. I think I can probably go back and look at it on my channel, because I did every day. I did like a little 5-minute video, like seeing, you know, giving my guesses on what would be in the updates and all that. But yeah, I think that one might have been the Badlands, because I think I remember being
that could have been the Badlands.
I think it was Badlands and then
right.
Swamp and Mountain. I'm gonna look.
I think it's either it's Swamp, Taiga, and something else. I forgot, but like it, yeah, you know, the Taiga one with like foxes and campfires, right?
Yeah.
And
I swear that was a different year though.
I'm
just confusing myself really bad, I guess.
And now they have said that they're gonna do all the biome vote stuff, right? But they've never really explicitly came out and said like all the mobs will be added afterwards. They mainly just say like they're gonna be held back in their library of ideas for more cooking, because obviously the one mob that you're going to vote on is not the majority of the update, and they're already working on other stuff that are probably thematically themed, like thematic around what the update is actually going to be when it's revealed. So it's just like, even though it's very like it's always just like a small part of the update that the community gets some say in. It just turns out to be the most toxic part of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, because
yeah.
what was this one? This was I'm thinking the wild update, but I know it wasn't called the wild update. It was Trails and Tales. Yeah, this one was all about like the adding a couple new biomes and the archaeology and stuff. They did bring archaeology back from way back when, but that wasn't a vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so but I found it. It was Badlands, Swamps, and Mountains won that year, but then we got Swamps in the Wild update. But yeah, the Swamps did get added eventually, but we still have half a dozen other biomes that they still haven't added, which I guess has made a lot of people feel very kind of lied to.
Cheated.
I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's been going on for a couple of years where I was like, okay, we don't really want. We prefer you just add stuff to the game and surprise us. With
Well,
like the Minecraft Live thing.
I think people
whatever.
like take it like a little bit like too seriously, you know, like just having it. They never particularly really lied about anything. They just really like that. I think people are just getting it like confused with like disappointment. Not like they lied, but they're disappointed. But people are disappointed in what they've given us rather than like compared to their expectations, right?
Yeah.
And especially since many people might not think about it, but Minecraft is basically a game where everything interacts with everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you add something, it's not like it's just going to be one and done and then it's useless, you know? Maybe it doesn't spawn anywhere. It's just something that you can you find in one place and don't use ever, right? I think people are like can be really, what is it called? Like
overly protective or aggressive.
I don't know. It's just they're aggressive. Like there's like this animosity or something that stems from like being ignorant of how like the game is being developed and how things work in Minecraft, right? Like people constantly say like they've added nothing to Minecraft in the last update and stuff like that. But if you look at the changelogs, you look at the bug fixes and all that stuff, right? Like they've done a whole lot, and people probably forget like
it's not just adding stuff to the game; it's adding stuff to the game and keeping everything polished.
Yeah, keeping everything maintained so it's not like laggy. Like when someone plays it the next time, like it was a problem in the game for a long time. Like if you ever played 1.8 and then you went to the 1.9 snapshots, your game might have halted a lot because they just kept adding stuff without even thinking about how to maintain it later.
Yeah,
and that's still an issue. That's like that. I really wish they'd give us like a performance update or something soon, because you know, like in my case, like I don't have an ancient computer, but it's like older, you know, and it can barely run Minecraft with like performance mods and everything.
Yeah, anything from like what is it called 2016 with 4 cores, 4 threads down is not good for anything. I think first of all though, Minecraft isn't really using all of the GPU all of the time, right? And a lot of the processes happen on one thread. So the
it's
main
very inefficient.
The main boost in any game really is that it's going to be linked to the single thread performance. So if the game is not coded like to be very parallel, which Minecraft is actually pretty parallel, but the main game thread cannot wait on the other stuff to happen. So it's just like, yeah, if you want to see any improvements, really, your processor might have to reach like I don't know, over like over 200 points and like sit a bench or something from the last time you ran it or something like that. That's just a, what is it called? A CPU scaling test, where it stresses out the CPU. But yeah, since Minecraft really heavily relies on the CPU, if you don't have a good processor at all, it's gonna be pretty slow. And despite it like not being able to use all the GPU cores, if your game world doesn't run well, it's not even gonna be able to to give your GPU the commands to draw what it needs to draw fast enough either. So
I know it was very funny when I was talking to Lucid and Pizza one day when we were working on the Nether Hub, and they asked about the specifics of my laptop, and I gave it to them, and they just both went, "Oh," just in perfect sync.
Yeah. It's an i5, but it's like 5th gen or 3rd gen. It's one of the
I think
two.
it was 3rd gen.
oh no.
I think it's the 3rd gen.
Yeah,
no, it's an i7. It's an i7.
third-
It's the 3rd gen
Okay,
i7.
3rd gen i7, but it's 6. No.
I
Yeah,
can
even
6
pull it
cores. I think
even,
it's 6 cores.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 gigahertz.
No, okay,
yeah,
so
that's
it's an i7 3540 at 3 gigahertz.
3 gigahertz, okay, but still.
and it's probably much weaker than like a 2600 like desktop
yeah.
CPU, because it's probably you're running mobile chip.
Yeah, it's a laptop.
Yeah, because he has a laptop.
So
It's
that's
really more
probably
like an
not great.
i5, like a desktop i5. It'd be more equivalent to.
Have you ever looked in Task Manager to see if it actually boosts to that speed or something like that?
I don't know. I'm not. Despite
That's
being
a
a computer student, I'm not super well versed in like physical, like hardware stuff.
The hardware, yeah.
Like I'm more of a software programmer guy. I'm not super knowledgeable about hardware specifics.
Yeah, it's like that kind of thing is like is really gonna hold you back, especially if you're recording, because if you don't have a good graphics card in there, without even if the graphics card doesn't even have like any hardware processing, you're kind of trying to process everything via the software, and that's gonna increase the load on your CPU when you're recording, when you're streaming, when you're doing anything, right? So basically, if you don't have a computer that can that can play Minecraft like very decently, you probably won't have a computer that's good enough to what is it called, stream, record, and even like edit videos well. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, even my computer, which is like all new generate, like the CPU is the newest generation. The graphics card is only one generation behind, but it's like the highest tier you can get. Even now, I'm running at 50 FPS with shaders, like and recording. So like it's really taxing. It's
Yeah,
because,
that's what I was
just
talking
because
about. Like the Minecraft as a game is
yeah.
well, Java Edition specifically, because Bedrock runs fairly well, and Console Edition's been discontinued for a while, but I'd like to see how it runs on modern consoles. Like
the Console Edition
Series X
was
or something like
basically Java. So it was basically Java before.
It was Java,
1.8
but like
update.
in C. It was like C++, I think, or C Sharp. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a port of Java with a lot of
Bedrock
the
should
same
be
mechanics.
C++, I think.
I think console was C Sharp then.
Yeah, some kind of the console was very close to PC Minecraft at the time before they discontinued it. Bedrock is based on a much newer set of newer engine, although it's much more supported because they're able, well, not newer engine, newer language, but that doesn't really like a language is not really that important unless it's very ancient like Fortran or something and can't do like a lot of the what is it called, graphical stuff in the calls that we do today, the instruction set, I mean, that's what I mean. My words. But yeah, it's just it's also kind of like strange to me, like that people think like one version is going to like replace the other in some way, right? Because they're both very different. And even though the developers have to work on getting the feature sets from both to both versions, Java and Bedrock Edition, at the same time, they also people also like really want to ask them to add more features, even though like as you can hear, like as you could tell, like it's just very what is it called? They already have to do double duty, you know, and now you're asking them to do more on top of that, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I'm not too upset about them, splitting Caves and Cliffs into 3 updates. Like, it was ambitious, but like obviously they ran into issues along the way, and I'm glad they just like spread it over 3 years instead of just canceling stuff indefinitely or postponing stuff indefinitely, because they, back when the console edition was coming out, that was just kind of 4J just did as fast as they could, really. Java Edition just did its own thing, and then console and mobile all just kind of got updates whenever they were available for those versions. They didn't get held. They didn't hold back Java because updates weren't ready for those versions. But now, since Better Together, they've been trying to do that, and they've been making an effort to bring the games in parity, which is a huge reason why since 2017 or whatever, since that came out, there have been less updates. It's taken longer to come out with updates.
And not only that, they have to fix bugs across both platforms, and
every
day in their work environment, they're probably tasked to look into and fix multiple bugs that have been and still are reported by users every day, right? So it's just like it's not that they don't want to get any new features out, right? They're probably very excited to add to work on stuff in the future, but it's not just adding features, right? It's about supporting both platforms so that they're parity and people aren't like, oh, you can only do this on this platform kind of thing, right? That gives a lot of confusion to new Minecraft players and whatnot, right? Because they're like, oh wait, should I have gone this version? But well, why do I have to get this version?
Yeah, which is a problem they had in the console edition era.
Yeah, and like people think that they're just like, what is it called? They have this like visualized thing where the only people that work on these guys like on these updates are lazy people, and modders can do better. But like modders don't have the responsibility of maintaining their stuff. If it doesn't work, they don't have to update it to the next version and stuff like that, right?
A lot of the bigger ones do, but like they don't.
Yeah, a lot of the bigger ones that people use do, like Sodium, because in the community people rely on them, just like how people rely on Mojang, right? So they rely on Mojang to make sure that the games don't break across versions and all that stuff, right? Like all the mechanics still function as they should if there weren't any changes to it, right? Making sure like the game isn't mismanaged to the point where you can't really add new features, like that one time in like 1.12 where making the update aquatic was difficult because they had a limited number of blocks and they reached that, right?
Yeah, they changed its break. They had to rework the entire indexing system.
Yeah. And so they fixed that, but in the process, like Update Aquatic was not really known for the most performant version of Minecraft, right? There was a lot of performance issues, and there was a lot added as well, right? But a lot of people will put it down because of the performance issues, just like Village and Pillage, even though there was a lot to do in Village and Pillage, right? But everything was so laggy during that update. 1.15 mainly fixed it with a lot of performance issues, performance bug fixes, and they added some bees, which are actually pretty good, even though it's a small little update. It's the bug fixes and bees were nice, right? And then we got 1.16, the Nether update, which overhauled the Nether. and people are still like complaining to this day that there's not enough biomes, even though like even the Soul Sand Valley was added late in development and it made it in, right? And I think Basalt Delta as well. Like it was they were very close to being like cut just because it developing new generation features is math. It's not easy, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of people were really upset that they split Caves and Cliffs in the 3 updates, but they reworked the entire world's generation. And expanded the build limit like down, and I mean up wouldn't have been too much of an issue probably, but expanding the build limit down and like reworking how everything worked, and it was like it must have been a crazy process.
Like even in another update, structures were limited to like 32 blocks, but then the Bastion remnants were in, right? So they had to expand that to, I don't know what it is now, it's just like 64 blocks wide or something like that, to include those kind of structures, right? So they do have like ambitions, right, to put things into the game that they want to put in, the features that are very big, right? But sometimes they're not given enough time and people expect a lot more from them, even though they're already working like double duty on both platforms and also tasked with fixing all the bugs that people come across so that the game isn't like a right mess like when people play it, right?
Yeah, and I think people have to keep in mind that this is a 12-year-old game that they're not making DLC for. This is free updates. Like, okay, I understand you want this one thing to be in the game, but literally we're on version 1.20 and you've only paid for the game once. I don't think we should be complaining all that much. You know, like it's
yeah.
I think it's ridiculous when people say like boycott the vote, but that's literally the only time Mojang really wants like direct like a community feedback on something, right? So you're basically saying get rid of the vote, remove our voice from the game, besides complaining about like features that they're adding in the snapshots, right? It's just like it's kind of a weird movement, and I know some people might even take it like satirically and stuff like that, right? Because they really represent like communist era war poster kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like it's just like I feel like a lot of kids especially like will take it seriously and will think that Mojang is one lazy company, right? Lazy developers kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And I saw a lot of I'm going to call it propaganda because it's funny. A lot of the propaganda being like, and modders can do like twice as much in half the time. And then there are like actually like communities of modders reposting this and like, that's not how that works. Shut the heck up.
And especially since like they did hire modders into to their development team. We had King B-Dogs and we had Nembomb who made the Fabric mod or like
was Slice Slime
not Fabric mod, but like no, I think Slice Slime is just the Java tech lead or something like that.
Okay.
I don't think he was a modder, but he can definitely make some stuff. He's made a lot of data packs that people can try for free, like in his free time, I think. Like Half-Hearted Hardcore and stuff like that. I don't remember what other data packs that he made, but like I remember him actually making a ton of them and then streaming them on like Twitch and stuff like that. So, and I think it's the fact that like a lot of the Minecraft community as well as some YouTubers, right, will go along with this thing and just assume like it's real, right? And then like this revolution is real. And then in some cases, I even see them like try to use Technoblade's name in support of it, and I just feel like that's kind of disgusting, you know? Like I don't think it's
wait, what?
Yeah, there have been some of them who's like, this is what Technoblade would have wanted. Stop the mob vote, and I'm like, okay, wow, come on, man, yeah.
That's not cool.
Using a deceased person's likeness for something that they probably wouldn't have actually supported. That's
like you can't really like say anything about like a dead person's like opinion on something that's happening right now, right? Like,
especially if no remnant of it existed beforehand, especially if like it was never discussed whenever they were actually alive.
Yeah.
mhm.
I guess he had like the anarchy thing, but that was more of just a
That was a
role-playing
character
thing in his
that he
video.
played,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
a character in his videos, like anarchy and stuff like that. But yeah, that's not that's not great.
Anyways, I feel like we got off topic a bit.
Yeah,
Maybe that
we
was
kind of
on
went
topic.
well, we went off topic and then we got back on topic. But anyway, the mobs. Which ones are you voting for? Which ones pros, cons? Which ones are you thinking about?
Well,
Yeah,
I
unlike
am-
someone.
Because I'm completely
Right.
undecided right now.
Oh, ooh. Can we
I'm
might have
gonna
an opportunity
convince-
to convince him. Yeah.
Hit me with your pros and cons and try to bring me over to your
Alright.
side.
All right. So, Lagging, do you want to go first?
Hello, it is me, Crab Supporter. Welcome. I would like to vote for the crab, and you know why? Because it has that extended reach ability, right? And a lot of people want to say like it's only for placing blocks, but it would not make much sense gameplay wise to make it only for placing blocks. You know why? Because you'd have to go and break them if you make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, and if you don't have that extended reach, you're gonna have to go over there anyway, which makes it like it just doesn't make sense. It negates the purpose of extended reach. So I think extended reach would be a great way for builders to place blocks and correct mistakes without having to get closer to them. But also, if extended reach can apply to combat as well, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that you can reach farther. You could change combat, and let's say this: if the crab gets in, right? It could have. There's a possibility to have it for a function. Have it a function with the jukebox. They could dance when a song plays for a crab rave. So,
I mean, even if they don't make that in the game, there's definitely got to be a mod for it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Crab's final point is the most memeable mob in the list. Crabs are so memeable. I just love him for that,
Isn't it also the blue one?
Yep.
It's blue, yeah.
Blue before cooked, I'll tell you that.
Oh no.
You think they're gonna let us cook crab claws?
Maybe, I don't know. That
That would be
honestly, they
interesting.
probably won't, because a lot of the real life animals that they've incorporated in the last bunch of major updates, they haven't made anything drop on death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They've been
because they
very
don't
much
want
about like keeping
not
like
killing animals.
they've been very
Yeah.
much pushing more of an environmental message in the past few years.
Especially since a lot of the ones that they've been adding are more exotic, perhaps endangered species.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah,
wanna
but like
promote
I
that.
feel like it could be interesting just because crabs aren't really that endangered, right? And when they wave at you, right, that's when they drop their claws. And so that means, well, that crabs can grow back their claws, right?
Yes,
And so it's really replenishable. I mean, technically replenishable. It's probably not a great experience for the crab to have to regrow it, but just like chickens, maybe Mojang should let us cook eggs too. They keep laying eggs. Maybe
I do
maybe let
want
us
some
cook the
omelets
small
in
things.
the game.
Uh-huh.
With like an omelet.
Mhm.
It's not gonna happen anytime soon, but anyways.
Anyway, Pizza, you're a armadillo supporter.
All right, I am indeed an armadillo supporter. My main argument against I'm going to start with why I don't want to do the crab, and then after I finish with the armadillo Lagging, you can try to retort my armadillo argument if you want.
Uh-huh.
But the reason I'm hesitant to vote the crab, even though I am a builder, I would very much appreciate like a permanent extended reach. My issue is twofold. One, I know you said it wouldn't be logical to have it place blocks but not break blocks or attack things. But that doesn't necessarily mean they won't do that. Like, like there have been a few instances of things that were kind of illogical that Mojang has done in previous stuff, like with the sniffer. I would argue that people wanted it because they were thinking it was going to add a bunch of different plants, and it only added 2. Stuff like that. Like that.
Well, it still
that kind
has
of,
that possibility, right?
Yeah, that kind of disappointment has happened before, because people have been voting for things that aren't necessarily confirmed because it's something that they've hoped that it would get added because of that particular mob. But it's not necessarily, or the glow squid not actually glowing, right? Like that's another example. It's illogical, yes, but it happened anyways. And while it's not necessarily like a huge deal, it's just something to keep in mind, I guess. And the other thing is we don't know how the crab claw will actually be utilized. It could just be like an offhand item, or it could be a potion. And if it was a potion, it'd be half as useful because you'd have to actually make potions. And I imagine it'd be hard to get that, just like a turtle scute or something. And it wouldn't be anywhere near as useful. And that's the thing. There's so many unknowns with the crab that it's kind of hard for me to vote for that because I like being cautious with how I just throughout my everyday life mostly, but especially whenever I'm making a decision that might be pretty important in the future. It's Minecraft, it's a video game, it's not that important, but for gameplay wise, I'm hesitant to vote it for those reasons. The armadillo, however, the functionality of it protecting the wolf is confirmed. Like there's not many nuances to that. We're getting wolf armor if we get the armadillo. That's just what's going to happen. The way that may occur can change, but honestly, I can't think of many ways that would like be super game changing with that. And my other support of the armadillo, A, it's adorable. B, it curls up in a ball, which adorable. And C, the savannah is the most boring biome in the entire game, and I need something to make it interesting.
Not if they added ostriches and extra cactus and
meerkats
and tumbleweeds.
But that's still gonna happen. Like it's not like they're out of the running. But like
immediately wise, like armadillo right there. And I don't know. It's just it made me excited because I actually. My old world, before I joined Echocraft, my old 1.19 survival world, one of my complaints, I guess, was that I couldn't find any biomes that weren't savanna, and I was like literally just sitting, like exploring everything, just trying to find anything that wasn't a savanna, and it was so boring because it was just grass and acacia wood, and both of those things are boring. But if there were armadillos in there, perhaps I wouldn't have been as frustrated because they're adorable and awesome, and I love them. So yeah, that's my whole argument. They're cute.
Let me ask
what's your armadillo?
My retort.
Yeah.
My retort is that that the sniffer. Let's say that people were disappointed in only getting 2 items, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't mean that like no more items are going to come, right, from them sniffing up the ground, right?
That's true.
It doesn't mean that that they've added like that they should have added like 8 different kind of plants, especially when the plants ridiculous. That they especially when the plants are very different compared to other like other plants in Minecraft, right? In the way they grow and the way they are obtained, right? You have to get the sniffer first, you plant them, and after you plant them, they grow up into pots. Oh, not like pots. They grow up on the soil, and then you can take them and place them anywhere. They're the first like flower where you have to actually grow them, right? Mm-hmm. And they even have different properties, like the pitcher plant has that little base, right? When it's growing, but when you take it out, you can use it anywhere, like a 2 tall flower, right? It's like these plants are very different from the Minecraft ones that we expect today, right? And what was that other illogical thing that you said about
the glow squid not glowing?
The glow squid not glowing. Well, I feel like that's mainly just a point where
Community expectations.
they'd have to make lighting updates very not laggy, and lighting updates have been historically
Yeah, that's
some
true.
of the most laggiest parts in the game. So I don't think they would try to add something that would greatly diminish the performance on many people's computers just because of this cool little thing that people might want, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think the trade-off is worth it.
Yeah. On the other hand of that, they could have made it a toggleable thing too. Like, had an
Well,
option that
no,
says
because
glow.
the server still has to calculate it, right?
Right.
So it's
yeah.
like you can't really toggle. Like it doesn't matter if you don't see the light coming off of it. The server's
It's
still
still
calculating where it is and
doing the
how
background
it's displaying.
Stuff. Yeah. That's true. There are flaws in the argument, but yeah, like you can kind of see where the
and I would like to say that armadillos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Armadillos, would it really save your experience in the savannah, right? Like
I
if
think
you're
so.
really going around there, like there's llama spawn in the savannah, right? And well,
Yeah,
sometimes
not
in the
very
mountains.
often.
Yeah,
Not very
so
often, but
if you had some armadillos, right, and they weren't even spawning that often, like it's not even like it's gonna be like a sheep in like the plains biome, right? Like like sometimes you'll find a
Yeah.
sheep, sometimes you won't find a sheep, and depends on how like they shed their scutes or whatnot. Even if you have wolf armor, are you really going to treat it as differently as horse armor, right? Like
I probably would.
Like
I mean, there's the
if
thing.
you had tons of dogs, you'd probably have to get wolf armor for at least your favorite ones, right?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get them in a fight, I doubt that they'll still be able to take many hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
especially with Minecraft's very, very broken balancing.
With combat, yeah.
Yeah. So even if like a power 5 like fully drawn back bow hits a wolf armor and they survive on like 2 health, they'll still die from the next hit if you hit it, right? Like they're I think the limited use case would be, which I will say like this is confirmed, right? Like that there will be unique cute little armors, right, for their dogs.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's definitely a selling point there if you can do it like how llama carpets work, right?
Yeah. Or even like trims, even.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility.
Like there's a lot of options for designing and decorating, which is why I think it's like the second best choice.
Yeah. We can agree that penguins are not the best choice though. Like that's
we can't convince Poke to be Team Penguin at this point.
I mean, my sister's already started on that. I guess I can talk about Team Penguin now. I guess since you guys are on the other two sides.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The big thing. So one of the big things is just in terms of like environment. Like you were talking about the armadillo livening up the savannah a little bit. The penguins would be huge with that. Just kind of the same way the sniffer just being present is fun. It's got unique animations and stuff. Because it's already been confirmed that the penguins are, agile and they can swim in the water. Like they're really good in the water. And then as soon as they step on lands, they're like really kind of silly and clumsy and stuff. And there's just kind of that aspect to them. They're just kind of fun to be around. And as well as speeding up the boats, she was talking about minigame potential being kind of huge for that. And that's one thing I really enjoy is minigame potential. I've talked before about how I like to do stuff like that. And in case of like the pots, the pots just got a huge update in the snapshot with you being able to put items in them and smash them with a bow, and they have all redstone potential and stuff. Like I'm trying to think of like opportunities to use those in some sort of mini game. And so I think penguins with the boat race could be really fun. Probably not as useful, I think, in general cases as probably the crab claw is. Like I think out of all three of the extra things that the mobs do, I think the crab claw would probably be the most useful in terms of both building and creative uses in for like minigame potential, but like penguins are still great, and I don't see a lot of people complain about dolphins when they kind of do the same thing in terms of swimming.
It's not really a complaint against it. It's I think the issue is
I think it's just lacking compared to the other ones.
Yeah, and it's also a couple of if statements. Like, if the penguins could speed up boats on ice, that would be cool. Because you're making an already overpowered transportation system even better. Like that.
Yeah, you could just add penguins to your nether tunnel. Probably not in the way
It'd
that
work,
PETA,
but if you did it,
not in the way that PETA would agree with, but yeah, you could add penguins to a nether tunnel and make it incredibly fast, especially if you have places far away. So yeah, that's like that's the general use case that could work really well for people like us who are on servers who are have an expanding world and a nether hub and stuff. But yeah, it's for me. It's between. I'm not considering the armadillo at all, and I'm probably sick. I'm probably leaning towards penguin side, but it could be either way, penguin or crab for me.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish they would. I do hope they do different species, so it's not just everyone's an emperor penguin. You know, it's like
well, you don't want everyone to look at like the Surf's Up penguin. But like, yeah, I feel like this choice is much more like interesting just because like it's honestly not bad if like any one of them gets in right. Like
yeah, the fact that this is the closest,
hasn't been that way for a while, right?
The fact that this is the closest here so far is just feeding the fire almost for the whole add all three boycott the mob vote thing, because like the sniffer was the obvious winner last year. Like I don't even think it was rigged by any YouTubers. I think a lot of people just generally
to my dismay, yeah.
Oh, what were you? What were you last year?
Hashtag long live the tough golem.
Yeah.
For me, I was a sniffer voter, but a couple of years ago, when the glow squid won, I was a huge Chillager fan, and I really wanted him in the game. Right? But the glow squid, I think when people talk about content creators rigging the mob vote, they think about the glow squid year. That was the big year when that was just a huge thing, huge issue. Because
that year I don't even think I was aware of the mob vote, so I wasn't like that miffed by it. So
that was all. That was the one where they all three of them were pre-existing mobs from Minecraft Dungeons, and so the glow squid, the Chillager, and then was it the Moobloom or Moobloom was Minecraft Earth. So like pre-existing mobs from spin-off games. Yeah. The Moobloom from Minecraft Earth, and that was another one I really liked. So like Glow Squid was on the bottom of my list that year, so I was a bit disappointed because it was Chillager, Moobloom, and then Glow Squid for me.
I really wanted the Iceologer just because it has so much potential to troll people on mountains.
Yes,
I really would like to see like everyone just getting knocked off a mountain.
Well, you're right. With that, I guess
goats do that now. Yeah, but like. Goats need quite a long wind up area to hit you off, right? But if you're on really steep mountains, maybe an Iceologer could do something like an evoker, right, and launch you off with a huge icicle. I think that would have been sick. But the glow squid as it is right now, I think it's fine, right? It gives you glowing sacks for glow item frames and glow text on signs, right? And it could be used for a lot more stuff later. We might just not know what Mojang has in store for them, right? Just like how pots were conceived, and then now they just got an update, which makes them much more fun and actually ties it into other games like game mechanics, right? Other games game mechanics like breaking pots is like something that a lot of people do in Zelda, for example, right? And you can hold items in it, you can get stuff out of it. It's a fun little mechanic that adds a lot to an already existing item, right?
Yeah. I don't know if this is just being cynical about the gaming industry, but I wondered when this last snapshot came out if they were features already planned for the pots, but Microsoft didn't give them enough time to do it before 120.
No, definitely those ideas were definitely on the table, right? Like as they were developing it, just like how Bastions got the brutes like after the update launched, right?
Yeah, it was like
another
162
update, right?
or something like that.
Like those guys were definitely in development before the launch. It's just that it wasn't in the release time, like release window. It couldn't make it into the release window. Like I don't think Microsoft is ever saying like you shouldn't add this thing, or like you can't add this thing. I think they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna release an update every year at like this kind of time, right? If it's not finished, just don't include it until like after it, because every update now, every minor update should probably include like some like small little things that actually make the game like make the game better and different, instead of like bug fixes like how we've gotten in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just something I've been thinking about a little recently. It's like, okay, Microsoft doesn't have the best track record when it comes in the last few years. Like Halo Infinite was a huge deal. Like it was a huge storm of
and they really flubbed
controversy.
it up.
Yeah, like Halo Infinite was a huge storm of controversy, and they're busy buying out studios and stuff. And like Microsoft's making a pretty obvious attempt to try to dethrone, Sony, be the top of the gaming industry, and in the process cut corners and do stuff like that. And I'm wondering if the past couple of years Minecraft has kind of suffered from that a little bit. And that's just a theory, but that's just a theory. But like I can see it happening.
I would just say like probably not, just because I think if they wanted to cut corners a lot of times, like I feel like
they could have done it more.
They wouldn't have done it like for Caves and Cliffs, and they wouldn't have done it for the Wild update and all that stuff, right? Like they would have just probably, if they had any say in it, they would have just told them to scrap the ideas or save them for later. But I think Mojang really still wanted all these features in the game, right? So they still split it up into 3 like separate updates, and we still got them all, right? But it just took a while to get them all done, especially since there were so many things that had to change in the background in the in the code itself to allow for those features to even be added, right? Like
and at that point it's
the whole Caves and Cliffs overhaul, right? Like it's some mountains.
Yeah,
the mountains were added, but they knew that like it wasn't gonna keep working like this with the old terrain generation, right? So they had to make it work for everything that comes after it, right? Because they had to expand the underground, they had to raise the height of the world, right? And those things weren't possible beforehand, and now they are.
Yeah, it's just an interesting theory, and it also gets really fuzzy when you think about like, parent companies and how that works, and like, because like, you've got Mojang making Minecraft, and you got 343 working on Halo, and it's like, which decisions are Microsoft, and which decision is the smaller studio working on the game, and I agree. Caves and Cliffs was obviously just way too ambitious to put in one update, and I think that was definitely just a necessity more than anything, more than like, rush time schedule or anything.
Yeah, it needed to happen, but it required a lot more work than what they were initially hoping for, right? So yeah, if things get more difficult, like it's okay to give them like a break, right? It's okay to give them like that time to work on it. I just feel like because they were too overly ambitious with that, especially since they kind of just shipped like the Nether update, right? And people saw that as a huge overhaul. And the Caves and Cliffs was going to be another huge overhaul, but probably the most greater like overhaul, because not many people actually explored the Nether, according to a lot of statistics, right? But everyone kind of like explores the overworld. Everyone starts out in the overworld, right? So having not messing that up with the Caves and Cliffs update was probably one of the biggest priorities, right?
Yeah.
Especially since how it connects. I think a lot of people might forget like how like it connects your old terrain generation back into the new ones, right? Before, they were just chunk borders, right? Before, there wasn't anything that connected them smoothly. And this makes it so, like, people's worlds are still playable and don't look completely ugly because of one update, right?
I personally don't mind stuff like that. I think it's a fun little quirk.
Yeah, but I in terms of game design continuity, it's really jarring, right? Like to see.
Yeah. For the majority of people, and I think it's a net good update. It's just for me, like I just find it a fun quirk of Minecraft, which was started out as an indie game. It's one of those indie game quirks, like the creeper existing. The creeper would not be added into the game if it wasn't already. Like Minecraft would not be adding something like that to the game in the modern day. But that's just one of those quirks that still exist from its indie days. And so the chunk border errors were one of those other quirks that I just found really charming. And for me, like my single player survival world, it was transferred over from Bedrock. I started the world on Bedrock on Switch, and then abandoned quickly decided to switch it over to Java because I couldn't deal with the bugs and stuff. And so I found a program, I put it on a Realm, download it, transfer it and convert it and everything. And it's got some of those chunk borders basically, wherever it switches from the Bedrock generation to the Java generation. And that's just a fun quirk that I really like about it. And it's something that's unique to my world that a lot of people won't have. Even if they generate the same seed, they're going to get a different thing.
Yeah, and it's mostly, I think, it's not just the looks, right? It's the biomes. It's the, what is it called? It's the quality of the chunk, like in every block, right? Because imagine you update your world, right? And you cut off at like some desert biome, right? And then there's just a whole sea, like past it, with a huge line straight through your world, where the desert cuts off and the sea begins, right? Like I think that's obviously going to be very like jarring, and also it doesn't. If people were visiting your world, they really wouldn't make sense unless they knew how like Minecraft used to generate, right? But now it's trying to seamlessly blend things together, right? To make sure like that people's worlds are cohesive, even if they've been playing on different versions, right? So I think it's definitely it's an interesting thing, just because of, like, I think a lot of people, like, I think a lot of technical members were kind of like disappointed that they would expand underneath the bedrock to expand the deep slate, right? But in the end, Mojang made it so that, like, if you dug a hole through the bedrock, it would be void all the way down, even if you upgrade, right? So all your perimeters and all that stuff will still be intact, and you'll just have some more deep slate caves down below. And they recently fixed a bug where the deep dark wasn't even spawning in older chunks, even though an ancient city was, even though an ancient city did spawn, right? So yeah, there's still a lot of bugs to be fixed, but I think them trying to make sure that like old worlds aren't like bad to upgrade from. Yeah. Like
I know that was a big issue in the console edition days, because you had a limited world size, and so like you know if you had a super old world from title update 1 or whatever, like you didn't get end stuff, you didn't get any other stuff until later updates allowed you to expand the world border. But even still, you could expand it from classic size to like large size, and you still have a board that you wouldn't be able to expand, and stuff like that. Remember when they changed the sea level? That was an interesting little update. It seemed very like interesting. It seemed very just random, and just one of those other quirks you got at chunk borders.
Did they raise it or did they lower it? I forget.
I think they lowered it.
They raised it.
No. Oh yeah, actually, they raised it.
Yeah.
So they're just mimicking real life. Makes sense.
They raised the sea level up 1 block, so when old chunks generate transition to new chunks, even if the terrain and stuff was fine, like the water, you'd still get just little mini waterfalls and stuff. But just thinking about it that way, thinking about them as just like naturally forming waterfalls is kind of fun. Because you get some crazy waterfalls in real life, like that.
And we still have them everywhere because of the aquifers in the caves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like waterfalls in caves and all that stuff. And even if an aquifer can actually spawn pretty high up in the world as well. So you can have like it's pretty rare, but like springs of water kind of like going down into caves and stuff like that. So
I'm not talking about like springs and stuff. I'm talking about like oceans, like ocean would transition to ocean, but the ocean's just a block higher in the newer chunks. And so you'd get like 1 or 2 blocks of like flowing water transitioning between the old and new chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish Minecraft Terrain did better. Not necessarily that we need like a bajillion more biomes like with Terralith or something, because that's insane. And to make any of them actually interesting, you'd have to flesh them out with mobs and stuff. I'd rather they just update a lot of the biomes we already have that are kind of boring. But I wish we had more in terms of like water features and ambience and just like not like structures to generate, but just like interesting parts of the environment that aren't just
fireflies.
I really want more like interesting sea mobs that spawn regularly, like in the deep oceans. Maybe like give us a squid that drags you down, like that one,
like the original,
mob that was,
the original mob vote.
Yeah, I feel like it should be a lot more dangerous and spooky. The only danger in the seas
are you
really
saying
is
trident drowns aren't dangerous enough?
I would say the only thing that's really dangerous is the Elder Guardian temples, right? The ocean monuments. But trident drowns are definitely dangerous, especially if you only have like iron armor and maybe no shield. And it's just like I feel like the sea, even though the update aquatic, like definitely made the ocean better. Like if you look before 1.13, like the ocean was just bare gravel on the ground, nothing in it, right? It just feels like it should be more dangerous, like it is in real life, you know. Like the ocean is super dangerous in real life. Just have, you know, you can add a pressure mechanic. Maybe you lose more bubbles the further you're down. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, no. That would be that would be way hardcore. But like it just feels like it needs something more. I do think they're gonna add like I feel like they're definitely gonna add a mob. They're gonna show a mob tomorrow, right? And I hope it's like the duck or something aquatic, you know.
Yeah.
Or something that flies. That isn't the phantom.
Just in general, yeah. We had phantoms, phantoms, parrots, and bats. And I think that's it when it comes to like flying. Well, you got bees, but that doesn't count. They're insects.
Well, bees are everywhere. They just don't fly in very large ranges because that's not how they, that's not how the beehives function, right? So,
but yeah, like more birds, like seagulls or something like that. Add seagulls on beaches, or, I don't know. That's it. Vultures. They promised vultures bugs 1 year. They bring back the vultures.
They might bring like I don't know. I feel like there should be like bugs and stuff, like more bugs out there, like maybe a beetle or whatnot, right? Just some kind of. I know a lot of people are like scared of like bugs and spiders and stuff like that, right?
Like silverfish.
Yeah, but like you barely see any bugs except for nighttime when the spiders come, right? Like I feel like that's one of the one area of mobs that should be expanded on too. Because it could be like a nature update. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I would. Speaking of which, what are your thoughts or hopes or predictions for what the actual update itself will be?
I hope it's a biome update. Like I think I know a lot of other people have said like, okay, they promised all these biomes and stuff, and we haven't seen them yet because they've probably been busy with other themes. But why don't we just make that the theme 1 year, and it'd be so
just catch
cool.
up on all of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a biome update would be super
remember
cool.
this update.
the remember
trust
this.
us, bro update.
The told you so update. So like just in general, just a biome update, even if they don't add any of the ones from the old votes, like even if it's just a dozen new biomes, I'd still really be happy with that.
I think a dozen is calling for a lot there.
Half a dozen.
How
sorry.
do you?
I meant to say half a dozen.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, that's a lot.
A dozen.
And it's just like, people were also like, kind of miffed about only having about like 3 biomes in the underground. But I think those 3 biomes are plenty right now. The only things I would want from the underground would be like maybe a magma cave and a frozen cave. Like I feel like those would be
that'd be cool.
Pretty cool. But
like a volcanic thing, a volcanic area, because we already got lava pools and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be very like, I do think that they're definitely able to add these like later on. It's just might not be in the time frame for other features that they already have planned, right? Mm-hmm. And they could be ideas that are still like sitting on the table because they don't know like how to fully flesh them out. But yeah, for me, I think since they did update like shields and how they work, and they updated how mobs can hit you through blocks, right? They stopped that from happening and made it so that only the mobs reach when they can see you. If their hitbox could extend to you, like basically the only way to attack the players. So a lot of things have changed in that regard. And I think that all hints towards like a focus on the combat update that was promised by Jeb like in 2018 or something like that.
Yeah, the combat snapshots. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I was thinking. Like, I would like a combat update. I don't know. I know most of Echocraft isn't combat focused, and I'm not really either. But I like combat, so combat update would be cool. I don't know.
I think it's well, even if you're not like PvP focused, right? Like the game is mostly PvE. So if there's other ways to like kill or like fight other different fighting styles in Minecraft, like I think it would definitely be a lot more fun. Like imagine a lot more throwing weapons. I don't know, get a spear. It gives you longer range because that's how the
Sorry. The crossbow was
like,
super cool when it came out. It was just another combat thing that just wasn't huge. It was just fun.
Yeah, it was pretty good in that sense, but like a lot of people just didn't use it because they were used to like having to pull back and wait, right? But even though like the combat update snapshots were very interesting, especially since I think potions now stacked. And if you pulled back your bow for too long, your inaccuracies arise, right? So you can't just hold it and wait for that perfect shot. And plus, I think a lot of the randomness was taken away, so your shots should actually land like mostly really precisely all the time. So
but not if you wait for too long.
The range stuff. The range stuff was interesting as well because you got like the sword has a longer reach, so maybe a spear could be added that gives you a longer reach than the sword, and maybe like let's say this, right? We have a lot of other mobs that could probably do with a lot of that reach, so give them spears, give them swords and axes, give them all that stuff, and that affects how you're going to like approach them in PvE combat, right? And I think what was the other thing that I wanted to say? All enchantments kind of work on each other, work on every weapon as well. So you can have like sweeping edge on an axe. It could be a very interesting. Yeah, it could be a very interesting like. You can have a very interesting set of axes or like set of swords that maybe not have I don't know. I think that really the only thing that I remember is just sweeping edge on the axe. And oh yeah, they changed it so that if the sword doesn't have sweeping edge at all, it can't do the sweep attack. So you kind of need that if you want to farm
hit more than one
for
at
a
a
while,
time.
right? Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things that are very interesting that they can definitely achieve with the combat update. And ever since, like, you know, Jeb was put off it because he needed to work with the rest of the team to finish the ones that the other features that they already had planned, right? I think it would be nice to revisit them, even if they don't do like the if they don't compress all the biome votes into one, because I feel like they are gonna give us one of the older biome votes, and I think it is going to be in a hot place, right? Badlands, Savannah, whatnot,
Desert.
Desert, yeah. So I think like that's also like a tick against the armadillo, I think. Because even if the armadillo doesn't make it, we're still getting something in a hot biome, I think.
That was one thing.
Slandering the armadillo.
That was one thing that was kind of like they've done that twice now, actually, where like there was the you were talking about the squid thing that drags you underwater, and then like Minecraft Live was just, hey, update aquatic. We're already getting you more. You know, a lot of people voted on it because they thought it would be like, well, the oceans are boring, so we should make the oceans a little better, so we'll vote for this mob. And then they just ended up making an ocean update anyway, like that year. And then
and it's not like the mobs don't make it in, right? Like it's like what was that? The Blaze mob made it into Minecraft Dungeons eventually, right? So it's just it's not like these things are off the table for regular Minecraft or anything in the Minecraft franchise, right?
Yeah, and the Great Hunger was actually implemented as the grindstone, just not as a mob, because its whole thing was the fact that you could use it to disenchant items.
Yeah, it's not like ideas are not scrapped; they're just reworked, right? It's if they're not going to implement it now, they might have a better chance of implementing it later when they have the time to actually think it through a little bit more.
And
right?
and the squid thing, the monster of the sea, was implemented as magma blocks with the bubble columns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did that, and then the I think Caves and Cliffs, wasn't that like already partly a plan of theirs, or I might be
no, I think it was a part of a plan of theirs, but they kind of sped it along due to the mountains winning, I think, because they needed to add the taller mountains. And you know, I think one of the other things is that what was I going to say again? It's that even if we like, I think we're basically promised like a new biome, like every single update, right? Or like something that changes a biome that's existing, right? Because we got the cherry groves last time, and I think everyone loves to live in the cherry grove trees and stuff like that.
I can't.
Except for Pokey because he lags. Yeah.
I can't deal with the particles.
Oh yeah, I forgot. But I think everyone like agrees. Like, I think the cherry wood set is definitely great. Especially with the bamboo wood set, right? We got another wood set. We got another type of blocks. I know everyone clamors for like more slabs and stairs, right? But I feel like they really got to address the inventory problem before that, because your inventory just gets filled up with all types of slabs, stairs, and variants, right? And it's just not great for building purposes, especially since you also got to have your tools on hand to break the blocks. You got to have the blocks that you need, like scaffolding, to move towards the place that you want to build, right? You got to have those kind of like items on hand, as well as those variety of building blocks. So I understand like people really want like dirt slabs or like concrete slabs or whatnot, right? But I think before that happens, I think they really need to, instead of expanding the old block sets for right now, maybe just make sure the inventory isn't like full of stuff, and maybe that's when they add the bundle. You know, the bundle's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've got my hopes up. But I'm was like, I'm hoping for, but I'm not expecting is the bundle in 121.
Yeah, the bundle's just being put back just because I think they're still trying to figure out how it works with touchscreens.
That was supposed to be part of
for
archaeology, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And it works pretty well. Like, it's a very useful in-game item. It's just that I feel like due to its crafting recipe with the rabbit hide, you're not really gonna have that. You're not really gonna have it early game that often, right? So if it's a very good early game item and it's kind of hard to craft because rabbits aren't everywhere, right? It's not really. I think there needs to be some kind of balance on that. Maybe include like cows and stuff like that, because you can find cows everywhere. Some regular leather, or maybe have two different crafting recipes that can use rabbit leather and can use regular leather, or just something like that. Because you can definitely get string early on in the game, but rabbits, I don't think anybody really wants to farm rabbits.
I don't know. And make rabbit farms viable, and more farms is always kind of fun for redstone people. But anyway, we've been talking for a while, and I think this is probably a good time to finish up. Actually, Pizza, I don't think you mentioned what your hopes and dreams of the next update is. But we'll finish up with that.
I'm kind of at the point where I am just hoping, like, I'd be happy with like an infrastructure update, which is kind of vague, but like stuff like performance update and inventory update, and because inventory, if they just reworked a couple things, added bundles, that's not like a full major update. But if they did some other stuff, if they did a bunch of performance updates, if they did like some visual changes, stuff like that, if they got all of that kind of into one, it would be a pretty awesome update for everyone all around. So I'm hoping for something interesting.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Is always a possibility.
But here's an inventory update thing that I think they should take from Terraria of all places. The ability to dump everything and load everything with one click. Anything like into a chest and inventory, right? Like instead of like, you know how like shift double clicking gives you the ability to move things of the same stack of the same type into a chest or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you always get so cluttered, right? And it might be better just to click once and move everything of any different type, as long as it can fit in the chest, right, in the shulker box or whatnot, into that inventory space with just one click. And if you want to take it out, you have one more click. One more click brings it all back out again, and probably it might be sorted. And it could be a very fast way to sort through things as well, just because of that, right? Because it could just instantly put things in the right stacks and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just very, like, even that, I think it would help a lot. The bundles and that, even though if they don't make a whole inventory overhaul, I think even those two functions would be very, very nice.
Yeah.
I agree.
But anyway, it's gonna be super exciting to actually watch Minecraft live. By the time this episode comes out, it's already gonna happen. Sorry guys, that's just kind of how this recording schedule works. We'll probably record another podcast right after the Minecraft live to actually discuss what happened and what we think of it. So look forward to that. But until then, we hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Bye.